General managers. They are the most respected and reviled men in sports who aren't referees. Um, and some are very good at their job and some are not. So today I'm going to give out awards to the 7 best GMs in the league this year. As far as I'm concerned, anyways, these are the 7 best GMs this year, based on a number of things. All of these GMs get an A. In my eyes, all 7 of these guys get an A. I graded them all out, and if you're asking where the video is that I graded them all out, I remember 29 out of 30 GMs finished the video and then went, damn it, and deleted it. So now I'm doing this. I'm going to talk about the 7 key guys. And there's a lot of guys that I gave middling grades to, but I didn't really actually fail GMs, with a few exceptions. And no, Jim Benning didn't get failed in my eyes because he's done some good things over the last year. Okay, so number 7 GM, if I had to rate these general managers right now, and this is obviously prior to playoff runs, Pierre Dorion in Ottawa. He's done a lot with an internal salary cap. The way that they handled the Craig Anderson situation was very professional, very well done, and very impressive. So there's a lot to like with Ottawa. Number 6. And again, remember, these are all A managers in my eyes. Chuck Fletcher in Minnesota. Minnesota's fallen off. They're down to 2nd in the division, but honestly, in terms of positioning, they're still number 2 in the West. They're pretty damn good. He was the only one that believed in Eric Staal when everybody else figured he was as good as dead as far as being a number 1 player goes, and Minnesota believed in him. So for that, I give Fletcher giant props. I don't see how you'd be able to give him anything else. Number 5. This is where people are going to go, wait, what? Remember during the summer, there was a big move made. Taylor Hall was traded for Adam Larson, and at the time I said, I like the deal for both teams, and argued that Jersey would have a hard time replacing Adam Larson as a top defenseman. And I had a lot of people say, are you crazy? Taylor Hall's one of the best wingers in the league, and they kept pulling out all these stats, and I kept saying he's not one of the top 4 wingers in my eyes in terms of the entire NHL. If you think he's one of the top 4 at his position, good. I don't see him as being that fantastic. And in New Jersey, where I know you're going to argue he doesn't have support, his stats haven't exploded the way that even I thought they'd go up. I thought he'd have a lot of chemistry with Adam Henrique, and yet it just hasn't happened. Not yet. Maybe it happens next year, but to this point, I think he's struggled seeing Edmonton as high up as they are. I do. I know it's bothered him, because I read a lot of reports about him being bothered that he's not a part of what's going on right now in Edmonton. And I don't blame him. I'd be bothered too. Okay. This is where it starts getting really, really tough, is when you get to number 4. Because, yeah, you're getting into tough territory here. I could stop there, but I've written out everybody else's names, so even though as I'm shooting this, these guys are up 3-2 on Columbus, Yarmo's done a fantastic job with Columbus. And even though last season they fell apart at the start of the year and they never recovered from it, he never wavered. He never wavered from Sergei Bobrovsky. He never wavered in his vision for the team, and picking up Zach Werenski was brilliant. Zach Werenski has been a fantastic find for Columbus, and regardless of what happens with this year's playoffs, they should now be in the playoffs next year as well, and that's saying something for Columbus. So good on them. Number 3. God, this gets so tough. And cue the booing now. On both sides. Toronto fans are going to say he should be number 1. fans outside Toronto are going to say, I don't know about number 3. All he did was draft Matthews, which was what any GM would have done, and they just won the lottery, and that's not a reason to put him there. But picking up Freddie Anderson was risky. Signing Freddie Anderson to a 5-year deal was also risky. Having faith in Mitch Marner when a lot of people said he's too small, put him in the minors for a year, risky. 9 rookies in the lineup at certain points this season, risky. Eric Fair, picked up on waivers, appears to be fitting in tonight in his debut with Toronto. There's not a move I've seen Toronto make since Lou took over that I've been able to say, oh, that was a mistake. And I've seen it in Dallas, I've seen it in Vancouver, I've seen it in Boston. I don't see it in Toronto now. Every move Toronto's made over the last year, I've been happy with, and I've praised openly on my channel. Even while Leafs fans were like, I don't think it's that good of a move. I think there's problems. No, Lou has been fantastic. He really has. Lou has been fantastic for Toronto. Number 2, and this is really tough. And I know people are going to say things about this. So I'm going to put up 1 and 2 at the same time, and I'm going to argue why these guys are the cream of the crop, and splitting them really is splitting hairs. So Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup in 2009, and then they won the Cup in 2016. In between, they've always been in contendership. Stan Bowman has had the Blackhawks in a position to contend every year he's been there. Both of these GMs have had to deal with massive issues with the salary cap. They have both had to develop players from within. They have both had to sign free agents, both university and out of juniors, and they've had to look to Europe to get help, and they've had to really, really rely on their developmental. You can make an argument that these guys should share number 1. I'm putting Pittsburgh at number 1. Why? Rutherford won the Stanley Cup last year. Pittsburgh is the number 2 team in the league right now in the standings. And yeah, they're only 2 points ahead of Chicago, but they're ahead. And if I put the 2 of them in a Stanley Cup final against each other, which could happen, I think Pittsburgh wins the series. It is splitting hairs. The fact that these teams are still in contention with the cap problems they've had, with injury problems both teams have had, with the core basically remaining the same. Pittsburgh, Matt Murray evolves in front of our eyes and becomes a Stanley Cup winner. Would anybody be surprised to see Scott Darling win a Stanley Cup this year for Chicago? Crawford struggles, Darling goes in, and Quenneville doesn't get an opportunity to put Crawford back in because Darling's just lights out. It would not surprise anybody who's watched the Blackhawks this year. It is the cream of the crop with these 7. And you can make any argument for a guy who's not on the board as well. Let me know in the comments below who you think is GM of the year this year. I think it's Rutherford. But Columbus with the steps they've made, Toronto with the steps they've made, Minnesota with the steps they've made, all 3 of those GMs are going to be in the running. And yes, Calgary, Brad Treliving, absolutely could get in here, and I gave Treliving a B. These guys all got an A. It's splitting hairs. Where's Steve Yzerman, you ask? Yzerman I gave a B because it looks like trading out Bishop and keeping Vasilevsky was a mistake. It really does. Vasilevsky has looked really shaky in the last few games, and now it looks like Tampa's probably going to miss the playoffs. And other than that, for his cap management and for being able to sign guys long-term, I give Yzerman an A. But that hiccup is enough for me to make him number 8 rated GM behind these 7 guys. Let me know in the comments section below why I'm wrong. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And it's just one of those fun topics. And yes, I intend to take a look at defensemen as well. I need to get into the stats of Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, especially lately, so we can all decide together why Ryan Suter should be the Norris Trophy winner. You didn't see that coming, did you? No, I would like to see the stats between the 2, especially lately, and see who's maintaining and who's getting better. I have a funny feeling Erik Karlsson's closing the gap. But for now, for GMs, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll talk to you all again soon.